Burkina Faso has just signed a groundbreaking agreement with Bangladesh, a historic pact that puts 78 billion CFA francs into action. This unexpected partnership between a West African nation and a South Asian economic powerhouse has already started making waves, not just in Ouagadougou and Dhaka, but across the global economic and diplomatic landscape. In today's video, we dive deep into what this deal is about, why it matters, and how it could reshape the futures of both countries. It all began months ago, behind closed doors, with high-level delegations from Burkina Faso and Bangladesh meeting quietly to lay the foundation for this cooperation. For years, Burkina Faso has sought to diversify its economic partnerships beyond the traditional European and West African spheres, while Bangladesh, with its rising industrial might and growing influence in the global south, has been actively looking for new markets and alliances in Africa. The result is this: a strategic pact worth a staggering 78 billion CFA francs, equivalent to about $118 million. But the real value of this agreement goes far beyond the numbers. This is about a new kind of solidarity. Two developing nations, thousands of kilometers apart, stepping forward to help each other thrive in a world where most wealth and power are still concentrated in the hands of a few rich nations. So, what's actually in the deal? The agreement covers three main areas: textiles and garments, agricultural technology transfer, and infrastructure development. Bangladesh, the world's second-largest exporter of ready-made garments, has agreed to invest in textile manufacturing facilities in Burkina Faso. These factories will create thousands of jobs in cities like Bobo-Dioulasso and Ouagadougou, and give Burkina Faso the chance to move up the value chain by processing more of its own cotton domestically instead of exporting raw fiber. The two countries see this as a win-win. Burkina Faso gets industrial capacity and jobs, while Bangladesh gets access to Africa's high-quality cotton and a foothold in West African markets. Next, agricultural cooperation. Burkina Faso has long struggled with food insecurity due to droughts and limited irrigation. Bangladesh, despite its population density and resource constraints, has developed innovative high-yield rice and wheat farming techniques and resilient crop varieties. Under the pact, Bangladeshi agronomists will help train Burkina farmers, set up demonstration farms, and share knowledge on boosting yields and improving food security. In return, Burkina Faso will export select agricultural produce to Bangladesh at favorable rates. Finally, the infrastructure component. Part of the funds from the 78 billion CFA will go toward constructing warehouses, roads connecting farms to markets, and even a dry port facility designed to enhance Burkina Faso's trade links with coastal ports in neighboring Ghana and Ivory Coast. Bangladeshi construction firms will lead these projects, bringing expertise and creating local jobs. But this agreement isn't just economic, it's political too. At a time when Burkina Faso faces international pressure and sanctions over its internal political and security situation, this pact signals to the world that it still has friends and partners willing to work with it. It's also a sign of Dhaka's growing ambition to assert itself as a leader among the global south, taking on roles that traditional powers have often neglected. At the signing ceremony in Ouagadougou, the atmosphere was jubilant. Burkina Faso's leadership called the deal a turning point for the country's development, while the Bangladeshi delegation hailed it as a model of South-South cooperation. Crowds gathered outside the conference hall waving flags of both nations, chanting slogans of unity and partnership. Local media carried the news on front pages, and social media in both countries lit up with messages of hope and excitement. Of course, challenges remain. Analysts caution that political instability and security issues in Burkina Faso could make implementation difficult. Others worry about how the funds will be managed and whether the promised jobs and benefits will actually reach ordinary people. Meanwhile, in Bangladesh, critics argue that the government should first focus on domestic issues before investing abroad. Still, there's no denying the boldness of this move. It represents a shift in the global order where countries like Burkina Faso and Bangladesh are no longer just recipients of aid, but active players forging their own destiny through strategic alliances. For Burkina Faso, this pact could mean more jobs, more food security, and better infrastructure. For Bangladesh, it could mean new markets, stronger diplomatic ties, and proof that its ambitions on the global stage are more than just words. This historic deal also sends a message that the era of dependency on former colonial powers is fading, and a new era of South-South cooperation is dawning, one where countries with shared challenges can come together to create shared solutions. As the first projects get underway and the 78 billion CFA francs start flowing into action, all eyes will be on Burkina Faso and Bangladesh to see if they can turn this ambitious vision into reality. For now, at least, both nations and their people are filled with hope that this pact marks the beginning of something truly transformative. In another unexpected turn of events this week, Burkina Faso has also signed a separate but equally significant deal, this time with Turkey, focusing on security cooperation and defense modernization. While the economic pact with Bangladesh has been hailed as a blueprint for development and South-South cooperation, this new agreement with Ankara is all about stability, security, and asserting sovereignty. The Burkina government has been grappling with an insurgency in its northern and eastern regions for several years, a crisis that has displaced millions and strained the country's already limited resources. The leadership in Ouagadougou has made it clear, without security, there can be no sustainable development, no functioning economy, and no future for its young population. That's where Turkey comes in. Over the past decade, Ankara has emerged as a formidable player in Africa, using its growing defense industry and diplomatic clout to strengthen ties with nations across the continent. Turkish drones have been credited with shifting the balance of power in conflicts from Libya to Nagorno-Karabakh, and now they are set to play a central role in Burkina Faso's fight against armed groups. The new agreement includes a comprehensive package worth around 45 billion CFA francs, roughly $70 million, focusing on three key components: advanced military equipment, training for Burkina forces, and intelligence sharing. First, the hardware. Under the deal, Burkina Faso will acquire several Turkish-made Bayraktar TB2 drones, unmanned aerial vehicles that have become famous for their precision and affordability. These drones will give Burkina Faso's military unprecedented surveillance capabilities, allowing it to monitor remote areas and strike insurgent hideouts with greater efficiency. In addition to drones, the pact covers armored vehicles, small arms, and communications equipment, all tailored for use in the country's rugged terrain. Second, training. Turkish military advisors will deploy to Burkina Faso to train local forces in counterinsurgency tactics, drone operations, and battlefield medicine. This includes not just soldiers, but also gendarmes and police units who are on the front lines of the internal conflict. The idea is to help professionalize the Burkina security forces and reduce their dependence on expensive foreign contractors. Finally, intelligence. Turkey and Burkina Faso will establish a secure channel for sharing intelligence on terrorist networks and smuggling routes in the Sahel. This reflects a growing recognition that the Insurgency is part of a larger regional problem, and that defeating it will require coordinated action. Asterisk at the signing ceremony in Ankara, Burkina Faso's defense minister praised Turkey's willingness to step up where others have hesitated. He called the agreement a lifeline for the country's defense forces and a testament to our sovereignty. Turkish officials, for their part, stressed that this was not just about selling weapons. It was about building a strategic partnership based on mutual respect and shared interests. Asterisk back home in Burkina Faso, the news has been met with a mix of hope and caution. Many citizens are optimistic that the new equipment and training will help turn the tide against insurgents who have terrorized villages and crippled trade routes. Families displaced by the violence are eager for any sign of progress that might allow them to return home. Asterisk. But some critics warn that simply acquiring more weapons won't solve the deeper political and social issues that fuel the conflict. Others express concern about becoming too dependent on foreign military aid, even if it comes from a fellow Muslim-majority country like Turkey. Asterisk still, this latest agreement highlights Burkina Faso's determination to chart its own course, choosing its partners based on its own needs rather than external pressures. Just as the pact with Bangladesh signals a new approach to economic development, the security deal with Turkey suggests a willingness to look beyond traditional Western powers for support in restoring peace. Together, these two agreements, one focused on jobs and growth, the other on security and stability, reflect a broader strategy by Burkina Faso's leadership to reposition the country on the global stage. It's a bold, risky approach in a region fraught with challenges. But for a nation that has endured so much hardship, boldness may be exactly what's needed to finally turn the page. Asterisk will continue following these stories closely as the drones arrive, the factories break ground, and the first signs of progress emerge. For now, though, one thing is clear. Burkina Faso is making moves, choosing its own path and showing the world that it refuses to be written off. Asterisk, and yet, there's another remarkable story unfolding in Burkina Faso, one that goes beyond economics and defense and strikes at the very heart of its cultural identity. This week, Burkina Faso announced an ambitious initiative in partnership with UNESCO and a consortium of African and Asian universities. A national cultural renaissance program, valued at nearly 25 billion CFA francs, aimed at preserving and revitalizing the country's rich heritage while using culture as a tool for unity and development. Asterisk for decades. Burkina Faso has been celebrated as the cultural capital of Francophone Africa, home to the legendary FESPACO Film Festival, world-class musicians, storytellers, and artisans. But years of conflict, political turmoil, and economic hardship have left its cultural institutions underfunded and vulnerable. Historic sites have been damaged, archives destroyed, and countless young people have grown up disconnected from their ancestral traditions. Asterisk, the new program seeks to change that. Unveiled in Ouagadougou at the National Museum, the plan outlines a 5-year roadmap to restore, digitize, and promote Burkinab culture both domestically and internationally. And this isn't just about nostalgia. The government sees culture as a powerful way to rebuild social cohesion, create jobs, and attract tourism back to the country. Asterisk, the initiative includes several flagship projects. First, a massive effort to restore historical landmarks and sacred sites, from the ruins of Lorapani to the traditional Mossi royal courts and the Sahelian mosques of the north. International conservation teams will work with local communities to preserve these places while making them accessible to visitors. Asterisk second, the construction of 3 regional cultural centers designed to nurture the next generation of artists, filmmakers, and musicians. These centers will provide training, rehearsal space, and equipment for young creatives, many of whom have been displaced by violence and left without resources to pursue their craft. Third, a sweeping digitalization of Burkina Faso's archives and oral traditions. Thousands of ancient manuscripts, recordings of griots, and rare films will be digitized and made available online to scholars, students, and the public. This is being done in partnership with universities in Dakar, Dhaka, and Cairo, combining African and Asian expertise in heritage preservation. Fourth, a series of national festivals and competitions aimed at reigniting pride in local cultures and encouraging intercultural dialogue between the country's diverse ethnic groups. At the launch event, the Minister of Culture spoke passionately about the program's deeper purpose, healing divisions. "We cannot fight for our future," he said, "if we forget who we are. Our culture is not just our past, it is our strength, our hope, and our gift to the world." His words resonated with many, especially in a country where internal conflict has often been fueled by ethnic and regional tensions. Artists and cultural figures have already begun celebrating the move. Legendary filmmaker Gaston Cabor praised the plan as long overdue, while a young rapper from Bogo Dioulasso posted on social media, "Finally, someone sees that our culture can save lives too." Economists note that culture also has tangible benefits, creating jobs, boosting tourism revenue, and even supporting peace building by giving young people alternatives to violence. Some estimate that with proper investment, Burkina Faso's creative industries could contribute up to 3% of GDP within a decade. Of course, challenges loom. The ongoing security crisis means that some regions remain too dangerous for large-scale projects. Critics also warn that corruption could siphon off funds before they reach the artists and communities who need them most. And there's the question of sustainability. Will the government continue to prioritize culture when budgets are tight and other crises demand attention? Still, for many Burkinab, the very announcement of this program is a sign of hope. It sends a message that their heritage matters and that their identity is not something to be erased by conflict or forgotten in the rush to modernize. As one young dancer at the launch put it, "We have music, we have stories, we have dreams. If we lose them, what's left? This program gives us a chance to dream again." Will be following the progress of the National Cultural Renaissance program closely, from the restoration of ancient sites to the opening of the new cultural centers, to the stories of young artists whose lives are transformed by these investments. And as if these historic moves weren't enough, another surprising story has emerged from Burkina Faso this week, one that shows the country is also thinking about its place in the future of energy. Burkina Faso has just unveiled a landmark renewable energy partnership with the United Arab Emirates, UAE, aimed at making the landlocked Sahelian nation a regional leader in solar power. The deal, worth an estimated 90 billion CFA francs, roughly $140 million, is being hailed as a visionary step toward energy independence and climate resilience. Energy has long been one of Burkina Faso's biggest challenges. With little in the way of domestic oil, gas, or hydroelectric resources, the country imports much of its electricity and relies heavily on expensive and polluting diesel generators. At the same time, millions of citizens, especially in rural areas, still live without access to reliable power at all. Frequent blackouts have hurt businesses and made life harder for ordinary people. But Burkina Faso is also blessed with something else: sunlight. Lots of it. More than 3,000 hours of sunshine per year across vast stretches of its territory. Under the agreement signed this week in Dubai, The UAE, through its renewable energy giant Masdar, will finance and build 3 massive solar farms in Burkina Faso with a combined capacity of 200 megawatts. These farms, to be located near Ouagadougou, Fata Ngorma, and Bobo Dioulasso, will more than double the country's current generation capacity and bring clean electricity to over 1.5 million people. But that's just the beginning. The partnership also includes the construction of dozens of smaller, decentralized solar villages, off-grid mini-grids designed to power schools, clinics, and businesses in remote areas that are currently unserved by the national grid. At the signing ceremony, Burkina Faso's Minister of Energy called it a turning point for our nation, saying that reliable, affordable, and green energy would help power industry, create jobs, and improve the lives of millions. His counterpart from the UAE said the deal reflects his country's commitment to helping developing nations leapfrog into a clean energy future. Experts say the move could also help stabilize Burkina Faso's fragile economy. By cutting expensive fuel imports, the country can save precious foreign exchange. And by reducing dependence on diesel, it can slash carbon emissions, burnishing its reputation as a responsible global citizen. For young entrepreneurs and students, the news is electrifying. In Ouagadougou's bustling tech hubs, startups are already brainstorming ways to use the coming solar boom to power everything from irrigation systems to cold storage for farmers, to charging stations for electric motorbikes. On social media, the announcement sparked a wave of excitement. The hashtag Soleil pour la futur, Sun for the Future, quickly began trending in Burkina Faso and beyond, with users posting hopeful messages and even memes about finally saying goodbye to kerosene lamps and noisy generators. Of course, there are still hurdles ahead. Some worry about whether the country has enough skilled technicians to maintain such sophisticated solar infrastructure. Others caution that security risks in some regions could delay or disrupt construction. And critics question whether the terms of the deal are fully transparent. But overall, the mood is optimistic. After decades of power shortages and economic constraints, Burkina Faso is taking control of its destiny, proving that even in one of the world's least developed countries, a clean and modern energy future is possible. One young university student interviewed in Bobo Dioulasso summed it up perfectly. We've always had the sun. Now we'll finally have the power. We'll keep you updated on this story as construction begins on the solar farms and as the first solar villages light up later this year. In the meantime, what do you think about this renewable energy push? Do you see solar power as the key to Africa's development? Or are there better ways to achieve energy security? Let us know in the comments below. Your insights are always welcome. And yet another inspiring chapter is unfolding in Burkina Faso, one that touches education, empowerment, and the next generation. This week, Burkina Faso officially launched its National Digital Learning Initiative in partnership with India and several African tech companies. The ambitious program, valued at around 40 billion CFA francs, about $62 million, aims to revolutionize education across the country by introducing technology into classrooms, bridging the digital divide, and preparing Burkina youth for the jobs of tomorrow. Education in Burkina Faso has faced enormous challenges. Decades of underinvestment, coupled with rising insecurity in rural areas, have left millions of children out of school. For those who are enrolled, overcrowded classrooms, outdated materials, and a shortage of qualified teachers have made learning a struggle. And yet, the nation's youth, who make up more than 60% of the population, remain eager to learn and to shape a better future. Asterisk. This is where the Digital Learning Initiative comes in. Asterisk. At its core, the program will equip more than 2,000 schools across the country with solar-powered smart classrooms. Each classroom will feature interactive whiteboards, tablets or laptops for students, and high-speed satellite internet connectivity, ensuring that even schools in remote villages have access to the same knowledge and resources as those in Ouagadougou. Asterisk. Alongside hardware, the program includes a brand new digital curriculum developed in collaboration with Indian education technology firms. Subjects like math, science, and languages will be taught using interactive apps and multimedia lessons, while also introducing students to coding, robotics, and digital literacy from an early age. Asterisk. For teachers, the initiative offers comprehensive training to help them adapt to new teaching methods and technologies. Through partnerships with African edtech startups, local content in French and indigenous languages is also being developed, ensuring that the new system reflects Burkinabe culture and context rather than simply importing foreign models. Asterisk. Speaking at the launch ceremony, the Minister of Education described the initiative as our moonshot for the 21st century, adding, "We cannot build a strong nation if our children are left behind." Digital education is the bridge to equality, opportunity, and dignity for every Burkinabe child. Asterisk. Representatives from India echoed the sentiment, saying the program embodies South-South cooperation at its finest, sharing affordable, scalable solutions to common challenges faced by developing nations. Asterisk. The announcement has already ignited hope in communities across the country. Parents see a chance for their children to compete globally. Young girls, who are often the first to be pulled out of school during crises, are being targeted with special scholarships and digital literacy campaigns to ensure they don't get left behind. Asterisk. Students themselves are thrilled. In a pilot school in Kadougou, where the program has been quietly tested over the past year, 14-year-old Ibrahim beamed as he demonstrated a robot he programmed himself to navigate a maze. "I want to be an engineer now," he said. "I didn't even know what coding was before." Asterisk. The private sector is watching closely too. Several Burkinabe tech startups have signed on to help maintain the infrastructure, develop localized educational apps, and even mentor students through online platforms. Analysts say the program could also spur a small but significant digital economy in the country, creating thousands of jobs in IT and education-related fields. Asterisk. Challenges remain, of course. Skeptics question whether the government can maintain such a vast program amid political and financial pressures. Others warn of the risk of technology without infrastructure, reminding policymakers that schools still need reliable electricity, clean water, and safe buildings as well. Asterisk. But the momentum is undeniable. For the first time in a long time, many young Burkinabe are beginning to believe that education is not just a dream but a right, and that with the right tools, their potential is limitless. Asterisk. One mother in a rural village summed up the mood as she watched her daughter learning on a tablet. "Our children have been in the dark for too long. Finally, they have light in their hands." Asterisk. We'll keep reporting on this story as the smart classrooms roll out across the country, and as we hear more from the students and teachers who are living this transformation. Asterisk. And yet another powerful story is emerging from Burkina Faso, this time focused on health, resilience, and the right to live with dignity. Asterisk. This week, Burkina Faso announced the launch of its National Health Sovereignty Plan, a bold, multi-pronged initiative in partnership with Cuba and the World Health Organization, WHO, designed to rebuild and strengthen the country's health system while providing affordable care to millions. Valued at nearly 50 billion CFA francs, about 77 million US dollars, this plan is already being hailed as a milestone in the nation's long struggle for better healthcare. For decades, Burkina Faso's health system has faced daunting challenges. With too few doctors, overstretched hospitals, and limited supplies, access to even basic services has been uneven at best. Rural areas, in particular, have been hit hard, pregnant women walking miles for prenatal care, children dying of preventable diseases, and outbreaks of malaria and meningitis straining already fragile resources. But recent crises, from the pandemic to the growing humanitarian impact of internal displacement, have driven home the urgency of reform. And now, Burkina Faso's government is making health sovereignty a national priority. At the heart of the plan is an ambitious effort to train and deploy 3,000 new healthcare workers within 5 years, including doctors, nurses, and midwives. With Cuba sending medical brigades to train Burkina staff on the ground, while also hosting hundreds of students in Cuban medical schools. This partnership is not new. Cuba has a long history of medical diplomacy in Africa. But the scale of this initiative is unprecedented. The Cuban ambassador to Ouagadougou called it a shared vision of solidarity, while Burkina Faso's health minister declared, "Our people deserve health care that is for them, by them, and with them." The plan also includes the construction of 5 modern regional hospitals and over 100 rural health posts designed to bring services closer to the people. These facilities will focus on maternal and child health, vaccination campaigns, and treatment for infectious diseases. Equally important is the emphasis on producing essential medicines and vaccines locally, with technical and financial support from WHO and regional partners. Burkina Faso aims to establish its first-ever pharmaceutical manufacturing facility in the coming years, producing affordable generics for malaria, antibiotics, and eventually even vaccines. One of the most innovative parts of the program is a mobile health unit initiative. Using specially equipped trucks and solar-powered clinics on wheels, healthcare teams will be able to reach even the most remote villages and camps for displaced persons, ensuring that no one is left behind. Already, the first signs of impact are being felt. In a pilot district outside Ouagadougou, maternal mortality rates have dropped sharply thanks to the presence of Cuban-trained midwives and mobile clinics. Immunization rates in some rural areas have jumped by 20% in just 6 months. For ordinary people, the program is nothing short of life-changing. At the opening of a new rural health post near Kaya, a young mother of 2 said, "Before, my children were sick and I didn't know what to do. Now there's someone here to help us. It feels like hope has come back." Health experts say this kind of initiative is exactly what Burkina Faso needs, a mix of immediate relief and long-term investment, tailored to local realities rather than imposed from outside. Still, challenges abound. There are worries about sustainability once the Cuban brigades leave. Some question whether enough funds will reach the intended projects rather than being lost to inefficiency or corruption. And insecurity in some regions could limit access for medical teams. But the vision is clear: to make healthcare a right, not a privilege, and to build a system that the Burkina people can call their own. One young medical student from Ouagadougou, preparing to depart for training in Havana, put it best: "I'm going to Cuba to learn how to heal my people. Then I will come back and never stop working until every mother and every child in my village is safe." Will keep tracking the progress of the National Health Sovereignty Plan as it rolls out across Burkina Faso, from the new hospitals rising from the ground to the mobile clinics. bringing care to forgotten corners of the country. What do you think of this bold health initiative? Is this the way forward for developing nations to achieve true independence and dignity in healthcare? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Your voice matters. If you found this story inspiring, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to our channel for more stories of resilience and hope, and hit the bell icon so you never miss an update. Thank you for watching, and remember, health is wealth, and no nation can thrive without it. Stay tuned for more stories from Burkina Faso's path to transformation.